Welcome back to Knights HQ podcast. My name is Jay Nelson. I am your host. With me, as always, is my co-pilot, Matt Croker. Matt, welcome.
Thank you, Jay. Very exciting episode today. We got one of the great men of rugby league. He's played 270 games across both Super League and NRL. We're not here to talk about his career because he's too humble and he won't mention it. But he's our Newcastle Knights Assistant Coach, Blake Greeny. How are you, mate?
Thanks for having me on, lads. You couldn't get anyone else.
No, mate. Honestly, when we sat down at the start of the year, we thought we should get Greeny on for an episode.
100%.
We weren't sure if it was going to be a footy one or just quoting Will Ferrell movies, so we're a bit unsure, but we'll mix a match today.
We'll see where it goes. See where it goes.
How you feeling, mate? How you going,
good, mate? Yeah, really good. Life's good. Can't complain. We got a good result on the weekend. So really happy about that. But yeah, family, kids, wife, everyone's happy.
Can you run through your role at the club, Greeny? Some people might not know the ins and outs of your job.
Yeah, so I'm just assistant coach to the NRL side. I just do the attack. So, when I first retired, I was sort of I come in and did like a development coach role where I did bits and pieces of skills, I guess, throughout the club. And then last year and this year I've just been doing the attack. So it's been nice.
I've been meaning to ask you this for a while. To be an attack coach, you almost have to be a defence coach. Do you find that in a way? Because when you get up and run through your meetings, you actually explain their defensive system to us so that we can attack against them.
Yeah, exactly, mate. I reckon I've got a really good understanding of everyone's defensive system because I'm trying to pick it apart each week. So they sort of go hand in hand, I guess. But defensive systems, they've come a long way, haven't they? Over the years, they're so detailed now. I think if you think historically back sort of 20 years ago, the game, as soon as you got fatigue in the game, people were doing a mixed bag of things. They were sliding or jamming, and they weren't on the same page. But now teams are really connected. Their systems are strong, and they're difficult to break down at times. So it's been good. So
like after a game, Greeny, obviously, so we played Sunday night after a game. What's your week like after that game? So as you just said, is your first protocol looking at tape, looking at what we did right, what we did wrong, what they did defensively that we can do better in attack? How does it work from that point on?
I guess everyone's different, but I'm pretty big on having a style. Yep. I'm big on having an identity,
a thread.
Yes, I've used that before.
Yes,
I think when you're playing if you're playing a game and you're in a contest, you got to have a thread to what you do, a strategy, something you stand for, a DNA, identity, whatever you want to call it. But what do you hang your hat on, and what are you trying to do to tactically win the game? Because otherwise, if you just go out there and just see what happens, like what's the whole purpose to it? You got to have a plan on what you do. So I think last year was all about, for me, I was big on having a style that we could chase, a style that we could be known for, and I think that has its benefits. I've been in some, obviously it's pretty well documented, I've been in a few clubs, but I reckon the successful clubs have got a style of footy that they play, and then you can pick people up and move them like a chessboard. If I wanted to pick a right centre out of Jersey Flag and play him in NRL, he'd know exactly what to do.
Gotcha.
He's playing the same brand. Yeah. Because it's a Knights brand, it's our style.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing I look at the moment, and I spoke this morning. I think it's really important to chase the team you want to be. Don't always reflect on where you're at right now.
Yeah.
Because the thing you're chasing what you want it to look like. And if you always do that, you're never really happy either. There's always something you're chasing. But I just sort of had a look at some things we're doing really well, things we need to keep doing. And then just a few tidy ups that we're not really happy with.
Before we get back to your coaching role, Greeny, let's take you back a little bit. You're born and raised in Fairfield, is that right, in the Western Sydney?
Yeah.
So did this passion for rugby league, because you're a very passionate man, but when it comes to rugby league, you're extremely passionate. Did that just come from a young fella in Fairfield that was playing footy on the weekends and just loved the game?
There's not a whole heap to do. Western Sydney's changed a lot over the years. I was born in 86, so early 90s as a kid. Sport was the only really thing going on. So, and I just dived into Oztag wasn't around back then. I played touch footy. I used to do swimming and play footy. That's all I knew. When I went to the Westfield Sports out there at Fairfield. So again, footy was a subject. It was what I dived into and what I loved. And mate, it just grew. And I guess you know, as I played more footy and travelled around to different teams, I started to develop this. I got an education in the game along the way, because each club you mightn't know, Croaks, because you've been here, but each club has their own idea of what they see as effective in the game. So everyone's got their own brand that they want to play with the ball. Everyone's got their own system and how they defend, what they value, what they see as important, what works. And you can generally see that when you play a team. It comes out in the game. If you watch it close enough, you can know what they hang their hat on. So I learned a few of those different things along the way, and then I've got a few ideas, I think, on what works and what doesn't work. So.
Was it always going to be coaching after footy, or was it sort of the later years of footy you thought, oh, maybe I could, because the older you get in your position, you're sort of an on-field coach, aren't you, at times? So was it later in your career you thought, oh, I could do this?
And did you feel like playing in the halves for your career, like that's a very high IQ position? So is that sort of a natural from the field to off the field being a coach?
Yeah, I don't reckon I had the passion for wanting to be a coach, and probably till I was about 28. I got to Melbourne and I got there from Wigan, and I come out of a really quite strict system-based club all the way through the club. Yeah, really strict, really hard, stern man. But we did things the same way every day, every weekend, and they kept working.
Yeah.
We got some results from it. You know what I mean? And I hadn't been in a system. Like that. Previously it was like play what you see, use your eyes. If you can get some line speed, if you think you can jam. If not, work together. It was a bit,
play what's in front of you rather than system based,
stuff, which was great, and that's all I knew. But then, I just learnt more about having tactical plans and repetition, and how habits come out under fatigue, all that type of stuff. Sort of just, I just learnt from there. And then when I went to Melbourne, obviously they've got a system based down there too. A few things that they stand for as a club.
Yeah.
And then I got some higher footy IQ from a couple of the special players down there, like the subtleties of the game. I started to understand that and how effective it was. So, yeah, that was probably the start of it, mate.
Yeah, cool. Mate, what's your thoughts on the current game? Like, I know that's a massive question. It's a pretty wide net to throw out, but, it's getting faster, more athletic. The collisions are crazier. Like, this ruck speed's quicker. Like, as an attack coach, like, what are your thoughts of where it's going and sort of what we'll be seeing in the next, say, 5 years or something?
Well, I reckon the comparison, mate, when I first come back to the NRL in 2015, it was very defence based, and you could go into a game. We were winning a lot of games really close, sort of 12-10, 16-10, 3 tries to 2 type of games, and it was really really tactical, and it would have to come up with just a tiny defensive error from someone, and you just get them.
Yeah, gotcha.
Where now I reckon that there's way more fatigue in the game. Like it was really controlled. It was really controlled before. You could kick into the corner, control the momentum. You could kick early and speed the game up by kicking early, chasing down and pinning them in a corner. You could slow it down by kicking into touch, walking to scrums and break momentum up. But you can't do that anymore. And it's a bit. You can be doing a really good job in the game. All of a sudden, it's 6 again, and then momentum's just been flipped on you. And you've, I'm not saying you haven't done anything wrong. You've done something wrong in the ruck, but you used to be able to control. Someone would pull the trigger on something, and use arm wrestling, seeing who could win the momentum. Where I reckon a little bit of that has changed. But I do like the element of fatigue in the game because it does test the resolve and character of your team, which is good. So I enjoy that part of it, yeah.
What about this, Greeny? There's always been like this sort of little like school of thought that like the halfbacks have gone out of the game. They sort of say like,
it's the fullback era.
There's not as many like halfbacks coming through, and which I sort of don't believe. But do you think that's maybe because the game isn't the way it used to be 10 years ago, where a halfback could kick it out and they'd go, oh, wow, what a controlling halfback. But you do that in this era and they just get to play the ball and the game speeds up anyway. And do you think maybe that's why they say stuff like that?
Mate, I've got a pretty strong opinion on this one,
actually. Mate, share it.
That's what we're
Let's go. Let's go. Shackles are off, mate.
I think I actually coach, my little fella plays in the under 11s.
One
I
of the
started
greats.
started coaching them. I started coaching them last year under 10. So I think that we may have got it wrong as a game. They have the dummy half and the halfback wear coloured bibs now.
Yeah,
First receiver,
First receiver and dummy half bibs. But they've brought these rules in that you have to change the bibs at half time. Everyone needs to have a go in it. The whole
gotcha.
everyone gets a ribbon sort of mentality.
Yeah.
You know, and I just think that, you know, by having all these rules in place, and they go from that, so they play 10, 11 and 12 where it's 2 passes, you have to rotate the bibs so everyone can get to go and everyone's a winner. But unfortunately, halfbacks are, mate, you know, you're born, you can see the game, you've got good skills and you can feel it. But like in the under-10s team, if you're playing in my under-10s team, it's your turn to wear a bib, you get to wear the bib.
Gotcha.
And that's just not how it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
Because physically, you know, there's guys that can carry the ball strong and there's guys that can pass really well naturally. Before we teach you the game, that's just what they can do. And I think that's a starting point. But then they come out of mod footy, and this is no fault of anyone's, but they come out of mod footy and they see all these block plays and shapes on TV, and they just want to mimic their stars, the heroes, their idols. They just want to mimic them. So then they go to being 13 years old, and then, you know, the mums and dads that are coaching the team, they're seeing the TV stuff as well. So it ends up just putting on all these block plays and all these plays, and they don't even know what they're actually looking for, what they're doing. So we're actually losing like the instincts of playing direct and just putting people into space, feeling space. You know, I reckon 20 years ago, if you would have grabbed a heap of NRL players 20 years ago and said, go down the park and have a game of touch footy, they would have been pretty good.
Yeah.
There's some guys these days that wouldn't be able to go down there and have a game of touch naturally because they've just got some distinct roles that they play now.
Gotcha.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know,
So you're saying, like, when you're talking about feeling space and things like that, you're talking natural instinct is something that needs to be nurtured rather than just go, look, here's a structure, do that, and we'll just keep rotating it until it works type thing.
Yes. Yeah, a big believer of that. So, I know, when I say I know it works to an extent. I've been coaching these kids for 2 years, and I just play like 7v7, 8v8 games, not 2 passes, just games, and I play the same games that we play here at Trent, and I get them to chase space, and I can see these 10, 11-year-old kids just getting better at feeling space, using their eyes, and I just reckon that we would produce more natural footballers.
Yeah, because that's the call, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, he's a natural footballer.
Natural ones, but you can teach them how to be teach them what to see.
Yeah.
You know, nurture them. As you said, you know. So
and the special ones are the athletes that are natural footballers in their own right. Like, Kay's a natural footballer, but he's an extreme athlete.
You took the words out of my mouth.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I was
he's the best of both worlds.
The game, especially in first grade, they celebrate those guys that, mate, this guy's just playing eyes up footy. You just, you know, he's playing off instinct. You know, they call it the X factor.
Yeah.
That's what that is. So it's funny that you mentioned that, Greeny, that it needs to be nurtured at an earlier age. So then when they do get to that level, we're going to be seeing more talent like we've got now.
For sure, mate. Like you're a footy player, aren't you?
Yeah, but I'm not an athlete.
He's a footy player.
I was squeezing the lemon to get to be an athlete.
But you grew up in the country where you were just going out and just playing footy. There was no rules, restrictions or anything placed on you. Go and do your best. Effort first.
Yep.
See space. If it's there to run, if it's not, use your eyes and pass it. Like
anticipation, stuff like that. Yeah,
you know what I mean. We don't create as much as them. Young kids these days, a lot of parents that just give it to the big kid. He runs over 4 people and he scores. We just keep giving it to him.
Is it hard, like, trying to coach kids and like, you mentioned it before, but they'd see something Reece Walsh would do and they is it Mimic City? Is it Hecker?
Oh, they all wear the same. They all wear the same
skins,
boots, skins. It's out of control. I love it though too because they get that excited. They all come to. Since I've been there, I reckon there was probably 2 or 3 of them that were Knights members. I reckon the whole team Knights members that come to the games. They're that excited. You know, and
how many of them wear headgear?
I was going to say some KP headgear floating around for sure.
How many have dyed their hair?
I've got a few headgears. I've got a few headgears, a few dyed hairs. The dyed hair is taken right off. It's taken right off.
It's gone.
And he brought it back on the weekend.
It's gone nuts. I just wanted to jump back. I had a question about your coaching career because you mentioned, right, when you were a player and when you went to different clubs, you stole sort of different bits of knowledge from different. Is it like that with your coaching career? Because you've been coached under like Adzi, Michael Hagan, Sean Wayne, bellyache. Like, have you taken little nuggets of gold that you've kept throughout?
I think influenced was the word he used rather than steal.
Yeah. That's all right. What old mate say? Good artist borrow, great artist steal.
Correct.
Yeah, for sure, mate.
I think taken little nuggets.
I think the main thing I took from all of them is they don't pretend to be anyone they're not. Do you know what I mean? They actually they're just authentic. They are who they are, and I genuinely believe that the way your team behave is a reflection of your head coach. So I think that's a big one. You know, if you have the right demeanour, your team have the right demeanour. So I think, you know, the way you carry yourself, I try to have the same demeanour every day. I'm a pretty glass half full, positive person. I chase the good stuff. If we make errors, it's just a lesson for next time.
Yeah,
that's how I see things. So I try and be that person just in terms of how I hold myself. But there's a few system things that I like to, you know, reflect on and use. Yeah,
for sure. Now, mate, without giving too much away, obviously.
Yeah, hold back whatever you don't.
Correct. When you're assessing an opposition, especially being an attack coach, what are you looking for? What are the things are you looking at their habits and trying to look at, like, cool, if we do this, we know they're going to do that type of thing? Is that sort of where you start from?
Just literally just have a look at their system and just their defensive habits to see. The boys see it, right?
Yeah.
Well, sometimes because they're preparing for their own game, they play their game. They might go home, depending on how they feel. They might think, you know, if we've had a bad day, they might not want to watch any rugby league that day or the next day. You know, on the weekend, I'm not watching it. They're just checking out, and I get that. You know, sometimes you have to check out. Normally, if you win, you're like, can't wait to put Super Saturday on and watch every game.
Yeah.
I mean, you're feeling good. I'll just see what everyone else is doing. But sometimes you're like, that's it. Shut the window. I'm hating the world. I don't want to watch it. So I get that. I understand that. So, like, I try and show them in my meetings, I'll try and show them, hey, this is their defensive habit. These are their system. This is what's going to happen if you do these things on the game. Do you know what I mean? Give them a bit of a background on what they're going to be looking for and preview what they're going to see. Once they know that, once the boys know that, you know, there's not 10 different systems, is there?
No,
you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
There's a few subtleties that people do different, like some individuals that will have some habits, maybe under fatigue, they revert back to some bad habits.
Yeah.
So that's about it, mate. Every attack coach is doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, like I said, the big thing for us at the moment, I feel like, is just the position we're in. I think that we need to just be worrying and focusing on what we do and keep trying to do as well as we can before we look too far ahead and worry about, you know, everyone else too much.
Yeah, cool.
You as a player, Greeny, were you a massive fan of the game the way you are now? Like, were you a player that would sit and maybe watch 4 or 5 games over the weekend and then play your own? Or were you a bit...
I used to, it just depends. I was pretty moody as a player. Like, I was like emotional. It meant so much to me. So based on how we performed, based on how we perform, we normally determine how much I'd watch. But I would like to normally watch the team that will play in the next week. I'd always have them on and have a little look at them. But yes, when I was younger, I probably didn't watch a whole heap. It used to make me nervous. Used to get anxious about it. So
overthinking it.
When I got older, I wasn't too stressed about all that stuff. I used to watch it and just see if I could see a few things.
Yeah.
But I was at a couple of clubs where it wouldn't have mattered if I hadn't seen anything. I would see that much that week.
100%.
You know, I'd see that much at training that I wouldn't have to. You know. So, but I was. I was dependent on my mood. Depend on how much I watch.
I don't want to harp on your career, but I just wanted to ask: could you rattle off the 3 most underrated players that you played with, and what traits did they display that made them probably so underrated?
Well, I don't even know if this guy's underrated. But
this is
my favourite player, Sean O'Loughlin's my favourite player.
I knew he was going to say that.
Favourite. I had a man crush on him. Whatever. He was just my favourite person. You know, the way he carried himself. He could do so many things on the footy field. He'd carry the ball hard. He'd play 80 minutes in the middle. He had all the skills: kick, pass, run. You know, he was a real leader. He was my favourite by far, mate. Definitely stand out by far. But obviously, In terms of skill set and demeanour, like Cam Smith, freak.
Yeah.
Freak. I've never seen him throw a bad pass.
Yeah.
He would give people less information and he would just take care of everything else himself. Like I remember when I first got down there, he just told me to walk along the scrum line, and if they left 4 defenders there, just stick your left hand out. That's as simple as it was, you know. And honestly, I'd stick my left hand out and roll onto the footy. You'd never break stride. He'd just hit you, bang. Yeah. I never really seen him. He just didn't take wrong options, and that's just what made him so good. So calm, the way he delivered messages to the group. Yeah, he was very good. Picked up a lot from him. Very good. So yeah.
All right, mate. Well, what we're going to do is we'll take a quick break and we'll come back and we'll do a little player quiz. I know you don't want to do it, but I reckon you'll have a lot of fun with it.
All right, sweet. Let's go.
Welcome back to Knights HQ podcast. We're here with Blake Green, our man, our guy. Actually, before we start the play quiz, we got to do it. Will Ferrell movies.
Oh yeah,
Come on.
top three.
Actually, you know what? Let's do like your favorite like cameo appearances. Because like movies are easy.
Well, Wedding Crashers, his cameo in Wedding Crashers.
Yeah, that one.
I'll tell you what. What's the Danny McBride TV show?
Oh yeah, Eastbound and Down.
Eastbound and Down. Yeah.
Feel the tension in the air. Yeah.
Can you feel it in the air right now? He's unbelievable in that.
And Big Earl, Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah.
Come on, mine's got a little more brown sugar on it.
2 dragons. I like you guys. I do. Especially you. Yeah, he's brilliant, mate. Brilliant. Wedding Crashers, he's got a cameo in that too, doesn't he?
What's his name?
He's the one who goes, Mom, meatloaf.
So Starsky and Hutch, he does one. Wedding Crashers, he does a couple of good ones, mate. He's very good.
All right, let's get into this little player quiz. He didn't want to do it, but I've put a bit of time into it last night, so we're doing it.
Actually, this was written by Croaks, just so you know.
All right,
Because you know I'm a bit of a footy nerd, so we'll start it off. I'll go first, JJ.
Yeah, go for it, man.
So, Greeny, you made your debut for Parramatta, and you're in the half. Who was your other half partner?
Oh, I think it was Timmy Smith.
Correct.
Bang.
One from one.
I've got a feeling this is going to be light work, eh?
He will carve up. Go on, JJ.
You played your first final at Cronulla against the Raiders. Name another player on the bench alongside you. There's 3, but any of them.
I reckon, I don't know if he started, but I think Adam Peake might have been.
No, he wasn't.
Okay, that's thrown me a little bit. So I thought I'd come on and played hooker. And
Good question, Croaks.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, mate. I had to go deep on these.
Oh, that's actually thrown me.
One of them is an
went-
ex-Knight.
Yeah, one of them's an
He
ex.
did play here.
And one of them is actually an ex-Storm as well.
Jesus. That's actually a good question.
Who did you say?
I was going to go someone real old, a bit older than me then, but he might have started in the front row with Peake. He was Danny Nutley on the bench.
Danny Nutley was
Bang.
on the bench, yes.
Yes.
The other 2 were Brian Norrie and Cade Snowden.
Oh,
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. You won the Challenge Cup final in 2013 against Hull FC. Who was their captain? This will be a gimme.
Oh no. Oh my God. It could have been, I think it might have been their hooker that wears the headband. Was it? No, it's not him.
I don't think so. He didn't play hooker, this fella.
All right, let me rattle off. I think so. Richard Horn was in the team. Denny Houghton was 9. I think Ogre was in.
Ogre was in the team, but he wasn't the captain. Ogre was in the team.
Oh, jeez.
This player also played in the NRL too.
It's a good question. Takes a lot to
Did he
stop.
play at the Tigers?
Correct.
Was it Gareth Hill?
Yes. I really like this question.
Yeah. Oh, these are good questions,
Yeah,
man.
they were good. They're good.
In your Super League Grand Final win in 2013,
Which I watched the highlights of last night. Outstanding.
which you also picked up the Harry Sutherland Medal, which is the
Clive Churchill.
correct. Name a try scorer in your team other than yourself.
Paddy Richards,
Yeah,
Josh
yeah.
Charlie, Mickey McAlorum.
And I know you hate talking about yourself, but your try was the one that got you guys the lead, correct?
I was gonna ask. Who was the former NRL player that cleaned you up from when you threw a bit of shade? Do you remember who got you? Because he got you in the eye.
Just for context to the listeners
Can't
too.
even remember.
It was Adrian Morley got you.
Was it?
It was Moores. He started off the bench and he was their skipper actually.
Was he?
Yeah. All right. Last
I
question.
remember Moners.
Moners,
He was here last year. He played in that game. Yeah.
Okay. Last question. in your last game for the Newcastle Knights and in the NRL, which current Newcastle Knight scored a try that day? That's a far out. That's a good question. That is a good question.
Oh my goodness. Oh mate. Do you know what? I think Fitzy actually scored that day.
He did score that day.
I'm just trying to remember. I know Fitzy scored that day.
Current.
Did Saf score that day?
No.
He'll narrow it down. He also scored on the weekend.
Come on, mate. It was 2 try scorers.
No, I'm just trying to think. Well, it has to be Nas.
It was Nas.
Yeah.
Nas scored that day. Jesse Sue was another try scorer.
Oh,
and I think Stafford Toll might have been the other one.
Yeah, right.
You didn't go too bad there.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Little trip down memory lane.
They were good. They were
But
pretty good.
Just for context too, just because you guys didn't really tell the story. So Greeny, your eye socket was fractured in that game in England, correct, for the grand final?
Yeah. So, it was Ben Westwood, just clipped me in early in the game.
Yeah.
I think it might have been our first set with the ball, and I was twitching all day. I was like, I'm going to carry the ball as soon as I get it tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just copped one early in the game.
Yeah.
It half rattled me.
Yeah.
It proper rattled me.
Yeah.
So I was lucky, mate. I had Paddy Richards on my team at the time, and he gave me some words of encouragement, and the rest is history. I'm glad it panned out the way it did.
Yeah, he's
crazy,
he's
man.
downplaying it.
That's
He's downplaying
it's
it, mate.
crazy.
He got smoked by Adrian Morley, flipped the switch, and then just let him to a win. Nah, in all seriousness, Greeny, I want to thank you for coming on, mate. You're such a humble lad. Such a great rugby league mind. And
Great man.
Thanks for having me on, mate.
Appreciate you coming on,
really
brother.
good. Thanks, lads.
No worries.
You can get all of our podcasts on our website, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can leave reviews. All of these podcasts are on YouTube now, full video episodes. So make sure you subscribe to YouTube. It really helps us out. Once again, Greeny, thanks for coming on, mate. It's been a pleasure. We'll be back on the next episode of Knights HQ.
Sweet.